Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother...
Welcome to the party, pal!
Welcome to another edition of Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Podcast. I'm Ralph Quartucci.
I'm Sean Paul Murphy.
I'm Debbie Murphy.
I'm Michelle Wojciechowski.
I'm Brad Barowie.
I'm Nigel Pentwhistle.
And I'm Drew Gould.
Well, welcome everybody. Hello, Cleveland. We're about to crank this podcast up to 11. But before we do that, hello everybody. By the way, hello, Nigel.
Hello.
Let's talk about what we saw this week, or anything you'd like to recommend. So let's start with. I'm going to go around the Rob. Nigel. Let's start with Nigel since he's got the beautiful wig on.
Well, since we're not doing Spinal Tap yet. So, has anyone seen the Jack Reacher movie with Tom Cruise?
Yes.
Or read the books?
No.
Didn't read the book. Saw the movie.
So there's a book series, and it's great. But Jack Reacher is described as 6'5", 250 pounds. So his character, part of his thing is he stands out in a crowd, right? So when they casted Tom Cruise, who, by the way, I liked in it, but when you look at the books, it just doesn't fit. Well, they're making a TV series.
Really?
And I don't know if it's Amazon or Hulu, but the guy that's going to play Jack Reacher, his name's Alan Richardson. He's a big guy, and he really fits the part really well. And Lee Child, the author, is going to be in on it. So I think it's going to be really good. I'm really excited about it. If you haven't read the books, read the books. The books are great.
Okay, nice. Sean and Debbie.
Well, we saw a lot of great programs while we were laid up in COVID land. And the one, we saw the 6-part documentary on HBO, I'll Be Gone in the Dark, about
Oh, it's so good.
Michelle McNamara's, obsession with the Golden State Killer, the wife of Patton Oswalt.
All right.
Writer. It's a fantastic series. We also saw a great little horror movie called Valerium, starring Jesse Eisenberg and Amanda Poots, is it? It's if you're looking for a house, if you're house hunting, this is definitely the movie to see.
Do you recommend it? You recommend it?
Oh, yeah.
I never heard of it.
Yeah.
It's really
scary.
creepy.
It's
Really?
What's it called?
Yeah.
Valerium?
Valerium.
Hilarious.
I've seen it. I've seen about it. I haven't watched it yet.
But I guess it didn't get a real release because of COVID. So,
Well, very few movies are, right?
yes.
Yeah.
It's a pity because it was a really creepy and claustrophobic movie. So we recommend it.
Good.
And Echoes from the Canyon about the
Oh
Los
my
Angeles
God!
music
Echoes
scene.
from the Canyon. You have to see it and report next week. It is awesome about the music and what was happening during the time, which was 1965, 70, and the Buffalo Springfield. There's one scene that is with Stephen Stills, and he's coming off in his hey people now, and then what's his name? Neil Young. He jumps in just juxtapositioning this song, Mr. Soul. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful creative.
Where do we see that?
This is on
Echoes.
it's on
of the
Netflix.
Canyon.
Netflix.
What's it called again?
Echoes from the Canyon.
But
From
this
Laurel
is a
Canyon.
segment, when you see it, it'll blow your mind. It will blow your mind how creative. And I know I've seen it before, but it just didn't hit me like it did from this, Dylan.
Was it the COVID that did that to you? Did you have a different look at it?
Of that time, how beautiful, creative.
Sounds great.
Was it a palate cleanser for Spitfire Grill? Is that what it was?
Yes.
I will never live it.
Yeah, that's your albatross. I have my albatross. Now you have yours.
He's got the
Debbie,
console.
don't worry.
You've
I
got
think that was one of our best podcasts.
That's right. The banter was the best by far.
I thought it was fun, but
Anything else, you two?
No, that's it. And by the way, I think Valerium was on Prime. It could be Netflix.
I think it is. I've seen it for free on Prime. It's on Prime.
Yeah.
Brad and Wojo.
We watched all 3 of the Bill and Ted series.
I haven't seen the last one.
Yeah, we watched the last one. It was
we
fun.
liked it. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, those movies are great, and they're
Did you see it in the theaters?
Huh?
Did you see it in the theater or is
No, we
it?
streamed it from home. We paid $20 to watch it at home.
I love the second one. That's the one I like with Def.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Yeah.
Death is hilarious.
Oh,
He's
and
in this
Death
one
is in the
too.
third.
Yeah.
But he's just in at the end,
There
right?
is.
Towards the end.
No, he's in there.
Oh, he's been more. He was
Mhm.
He
great.
doesn't get. He's not in at the beginning, but from like the second half on, he's in.
Yeah.
Death usually comes near the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That
It
is
was,
true.
it
Sean.
was
point.
good.
Very profound.
Well,
Spoken
we
like
wanted
a
to
true
watch
writer.
it too. I'm supposed to interview Ed Solomon.
Mhm.
Ed
Yeah.
Solomon.
Oh,
The writer.
He's one of the
Belcam,
writers.
Belcam.
He and Chris Matheson wrote and came up with the Bill and Ted characters.
well, one of them, a couple of those guys are in it, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but you won't recognize them, so you'll have to look on IMDb like we did.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
I actually
so
have a
cool.
serious question about that movie because something in the trailers kind of disturbed me. Keanu Reeves is one of these guys that he's beautiful. He's 50. He's aging like a normal human being.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I saw the trailers for the new Bill and Ted. It was the first time I saw his face, and it looked like he'd done something Hollywood to it. Like, does he look like Keanu Reeves, or does he look like a weird, scared, stiff 45-year-old version?
Actually, what I think's going on is, first of all, his hair is very long.
Okay.
And they've dyed it a really dark black. And I think that's what's going on. I don't think he's had face work.
Plus, he's had a beard for the last 15 years.
And that's the thing.
The
He's
John
had
Wick
a
stuff,
mustache
so we
and
just haven't
beard.
seen
Like
it.
It looks
Yeah.
like it looks
in the
like
John Wick movies.
he's not in
got
the
the
John
mustache
Wick
and beard.
weight. He's
Gotcha.
heavier.
I mean, he
Yeah.
can
And
do
you
that.
can see it in
Yeah.
his face. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really jarring seeing that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
and quite honestly, I mean, he may have Botox. Everyone out there who has a forehead that's not covered by bangs usually winds up getting shots of Botox.
I love the fact that Keanu Reeves did that movie. I think that is
So much forehead. Oh my goodness.
Because the other
I-
guy
No forehead there. 5 head. 5.
Oh, you? Oh,
Four,
yeah.
5. No,
But I think it was
Botox.
more that they
Botox free.
they were just trying to make him look like an older version of him.
Right, exactly.
So I think they were
And they didn't
just-
want the John Wick comparison,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's what they went for.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Any-
I just don't
anything
want to pay
else?
$20 for it. That's
Yep.
all.
Well,
Anything else, you two?
we watched Sexy Beast, which we hated.
Oh my.
Oh
God,
my.
I love
Okay, I was just about to say, great movie. What?
We didn't like it.
Wow.
Yeah, we were not
No.
enthralled.
No.
We'll have to figure
I
that
want
one
to
out
start
later.
quoting it, but it's a family podcast, so I won't.
We'll have to figure out what's wrong.
And we
with
had to
you
turn
not
the
liking-
the captions on like within a couple minutes because we couldn't understand it.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
Cockney, right? A lot of Cockney.
were
yeah,
saying,
very hard to
um,
It's a
understand.
pretty crazy accent. That's true.
And
I love
then-
that film.
What else did we watched? Oh, we watched The Mist.
Oh,
We-
Series or the movie?
The
Love The
Mist.
Mist.
The movie.
Okay.
We hadn't seen the movie. And the ending of that, unfortunately, I guessed it like 2 minutes before it actually happened. And we were like, that's
Still a good
Stephen
ending, though.
King, tortured souls.
Did you see our friend from Spitfire Grill playing the crazy lady?
Yes, right.
Yes.
oh, she was excellent.
She
in that movie.
was. She's good.
Yeah,
as
she's
crazy,
Did you guys see it in
crazy
color or
preacher
black and white?
lady.
Yeah, you
And
watched the
Andre
cover?
Brower, I thought he was going to have more of a role in it, and I thought they were going to at least show him dead. But you know,
There is a black and white version of that, like Drew was saying. It's pretty cool.
oh really?
Did Soderbergh
I
do it?
bet.
Oh, but that would be good.
Sonnenberg did not do it,
Yeah.
but
Not
they
that
did
one?
it.
One thing I wanted to bring up to you guys: we've been rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the TV show. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
Yeah.
and it's hilarious. We love it. We think it's hilarious. But the reason why Andy Samberg's character Jake became a police officer was because of watching Die Hard. So as we're
He's always
watching,
talking about Die
like
Hard.
we're on the third season and we're seeing so much. Like when they went into the at Christmas time, the department store
Mhm.
that was being taken
Oh,
over,
right.
and he decides this is perfect. This is like Die Hard.
This is my
And so
Die Hard
he's
moment.
writing down what the names of the guys are going to be, like Lars and Han. And then he hears the two guys and he says, Matt, come on. And he's like, why is his name got to be Matt?
When he was disappointed because they weren't German, they were Canadian.
Yeah.
I still use, there's two quotes I use all the time from Die Hard, and there's simple little things. One is when he's under the table and the guy says, if you're gonna, don't run out of
Thanks for the
table, I
advice,
forget it.
pal.
And he says, thanks for the advice, sport, or thanks for the advice. And the other one
Pal.
is when he's wrapping the chair with the C4 and he decides to put more C4 on, he goes, fuck it. I use that all the time. when I'm going to go overboard on something like this.
Well,
podcast.
you know, if we want to do that one day, I'll try to get Reginald Johnson.
If you can do that, the only way I would do that, even though it's the
Ding, ding,
namesake
ding.
of this podcast, is if we got somebody on, because everybody's talked about that movie.
We
What
know
else can we add?
you say
What can
this
I add?
every podcast. I'm not going to do Jaws. I'm not going to do Casablanca.
Well, there you go. If you have
I didn't say Casablanca. I don't know where that came from, but okay.
Get somebody
I
from
would
the
like
movie.
to
That's
forbid that
perfect.
one too, but
I'll
we
send
can't.
an email to Bruce Willis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, do that.
sure he'll do it.
He needs work. All right, Drew, anything to suggest?
I want to talk about a couple things. The first thing I'll say is the Mandalorian season 2 trailer came out today.
I saw it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was enjoying the trailer, and at the end, there's a whole Baby Yoda whistling birds thing, and I was like, I am totally on board for this. I'm very excited. I had low expectations of the first season, and I just loved it. And if anything is going to deliver again, I think it's going to be that show. So I'm really excited about that.
I think it's the best Star Wars thing since the original 3.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
100% agree with
All
you.
right.
I
Well,
do.
we have Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
The problem is you can binge all of the Mandalorian right now, but then
Season
on
1.
30th they're going to start doing the first 8 episodes. They're going to start streaming the second season, and they're going to do it as they did the first one.
They're going to
One new
stagger.
episode a week, and the
Yeah.
wait is going to kill you because it's fantastic.
That's how it was when we watched Breaking Bad. We didn't watch it when it was actually on until the very end.
Yep.
Like during a whole summer, Brad and my stepdad and I, the three of us sat down and we were watching this. I mean, Brad
We were
and I
watching
usually-
3 or 4 episodes a night.
I know.
Yeah.
And we would look at one another, it'd be like 10:30, and we go to bed like earlier because we get up early. And we'd look at each other and we'd say, Ed, what do you think? And he'd say, I'm retired, whatever you guys want. And we were just watching it. And then we caught up. And
With
then,
like 6 or 7 weeks to go or something. Then
Yeah.
we had to wait a week.
and then we had
Yeah.
to wait a week. And it was such a nightmare. It was,
Yeah, that's tough.
my God.
They're all going to start doing that. They're all going to start staggering them rather than putting
Well,
them all
like the
out.
docu-series, like you were talking about
I
the
hate
Wait
that.
Till I See You in the Dark. That's 6 episodes they played every Sunday night. And I'm
Yeah.
watching The Vow on HBO, which is great, except you got to wait once. You get used to this just being able
Or
to
just
binge
wait
everything.
till they're
Yeah,
all
we're
out.
spoiled
and
now.
I know, but
Yeah.
then I can't.
what?
That's the problem. I don't have the discipline. Anything else, Drew?
Yes, 2 other things. One, speaking of episodes every week, I have been watching Lovecraft Country on HBO.
How is that?
I think it's very good. It's interesting because I said, you know what, I'm going to read the book while I watch the show, which I don't usually do. And then I read about the book, and originally the book was a TV series pitch that nobody bought. So it became a book that became very successful that then got turned into a TV series. What's interesting about that is that it's actually conceived, and the way that the book is structured is almost like a Twilight Zone type of structure, an old-fashioned television show. It's the same group of characters, but you'll focus on somebody, and there are overarching storylines, and it's all clearly building towards, sort of a big bad villain type of thing. But it feels, in a good way, almost old-fashioned, because here's the story this week, and this is crazy, and it's going to get resolved. And then the next
Wow.
week, another one. And comparing it with the book has been kind of interesting because the first 2 chapters of the book are basically the first 2 episodes. They're very good. The first 2 episodes of the TV show covering those are way better. And then episodes 3 and 4, chapters 3 and 4, it's the reverse. The book is way better than the book. And
Wow.
the episodes of TV are good. And it's interesting because I know where the book is going, but there's already been changes. There's certain characters that are not alive in the show that survived the book and things like that. And there's a couple things I'm waiting to see how they do it in the show because it's just spectacular stuff. And
Is that on HBO Max? What is that on?
it's on HBO. It's their big Sunday night at 9:00 show. And it was kind of neat because to me it's I love watching adaptations, and the big thing for me personally is how does it feel? Like very rarely would you transcribe the book. Like the Maltese Falcon, they basically just typed up the book, and it works. It's an excellent film. The Harry Potter, the first 2 movies are kind of inert because they're very straight takes on it, and then Alfonso Cuarón does the 3rd one and gets to do something different, and it feels right, but it's better. So I think that's kind of cool.
That's our dogs. I'm sorry. Hey.
The other thing that I listened to was an episode of a podcast called Yippee-Ki-Yay something. It was like just 2 brothers that they did a podcast. And, I thought it was kind
I
of
think it was called Cue It Up with the Q Brothers. Is that what it was
Queuing
called?
it up.
Might be
It up.
under the Yippee-Ki-Yay umbrella at the time.
I think you should call it the Double Q. But it was really good, and I liked it because I felt like you were having conversations that I was ready to participate in, which normally we could participate in, and I hope that that's the experience that people have.
It was.
Yeah, we watched
We were
I
surprised.
really enjoyed it.
I'm kidding.
You also brought up a lot of stuff, like you mentioned a bunch of movies that I love and things that, like, episodes like I love Miracle Mile and The Killing and things like that. But one of my favorite movies that not enough people have seen, it's just a die-hard on a movie, is Executive Decision. You guys talked about. That movie is a great thriller. It has just enough Steven Seagal.
Right.
I do love a hero who's basically like a regular guy in extraordinary circumstances, like the original version of Jack Ryan. He's not a superhero. He's just really smart.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell is really smart, but he's not an action figure, that kind of stuff. And so that's a great movie, and it's really fun. But the reason that really sticks with me is because that was in 1996, and I went to the movies with my dad, and I was still in high school, and I was learning to fly, actually.
Oh, wow.
Kurt Russell's character is a student pilot, and when you get to the end of the movie, he has to land the plane. And so he's actually getting talked through landing a giant aircraft instead of the little aircraft. But apparently in the theater, I was yelling out what he needed to do. Flaps! I do the flap. I love that. And also, it's funny because that was directed by Stuart Baird. And Stuart Baird has only done 3 movies as a director. He did this one, which I loved. He did the Fugitive sequel, which is nothing exciting. And
U.S. Marshals.
I didn't even know that. Oh,
Yeah,
U.S.
US
Marshals. That's
Marshals,
right. That's right.
Yeah, and Star Trek Nemesis was not exciting, except it did star Tom Hardy, whose birthday is today. And as you feel about Michael Fassbender, which I also agree with, Tom Hardy makes me feel a certain kind of way, so I get it. But it's interesting because you also talked about being an editor, and Stuart Baird's real career has been as an editor.
Yeah.
And he's cut humongous movies like Superman 2 and Die Hard 2 and all these incredible movies and stuff. And I think it's just interesting to see where people's careers go. And Executive Decision is one of those underseen die-hard on movies with a great cast. And I don't know, I've just been a Kurt Russell fan forever. So it was fun to hear other people talking about it in an excited way.
We
I
spurred a nice memory in you.
Yeah, and I actually saw it that day or a day before
really?
that. Yeah.
Well, I like that Steven Seagal was on the marquee, was number 2 on the marquee, and he's gone within 20 minutes.
No, it's good. It's good. And Kurt Russell's always playing that underacting. I
like
just
the computer who wore tennis shoes.
That was a
Like
classic.
that movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, Steven Seagal is great in that movie because the way that it ends, like Kurt Russell's like, "We're not going to make it," and Steven Seagal says, "You are."
That's right.
Yeah.
And then he closes the hatch,
That's
and
the
then
lid.
he's gone.
Gone.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Spoiler alert. What was I going to say? That's why I do want to do a podcast where we do die hard knockoffs. So Executive Decisions, one, sudden, any person stuck in a building or stuck dealing with terrorists, you get tons of those. Seagal did a bunch of them.
Under Siege.
Jean-Claude Van Damme does a bunch of them.
Die Hard on the Battleship, was that Under Siege?
That's Under Siege.
That was
Under Siege 1.
Steven Seagal.
Sudden death.
Under Siege 2 is Die Hard on a Train.
Yeah.
We should show the Ben Stiller show when he did a takeoff of Die Hard in a supermarket.
Oh,
And he was
yeah,
like
right.
he was
No,
5
it's the
feet
whole
away
thing.
from everybody, just
Yeah.
doing Yippee-Ki-Yay. It was really funny.
All right, well, I'll give you mine both have about heroes, just like Drew just said, heroes who come up and regular guys who become heroes. I saw Bill and Ted's Face the Music at that Benji's Drive-In.
All right.
Oh, did you?
Holy cow. That place is like going back in history, number
Mhm.
one. The screen is huge. The projection's
Mhm.
beautiful. And the movie was, for what it is, it's great. For those 3 movies, they're not, you wouldn't call them classics, but definitely they hit all the nostalgia in this 3rd movie. They
Mhm.
called back a couple of things from 2 that, they kind of changed some of the reasons why things happen. I just thought it was really great. And seeing it at that place was fantastic. And then going back to another recommendation of our old podcast, I was watching me, Al, and Hassan go to that Laserdisc thing that we went and bought Laserdiscs. And then Hassan somebody pulled up one that I bought, which was Silver Streak.
Oh, great
Yeah.
movie.
So my brain is so small that I saw that I go, I got to watch Silver Streak. And that's another kind of North by Northwest regular guy getting caught up in a thing. And I just I watched it last night, and man, it's such a great film. Just like you could tell it was done in the 70s. It was all this crazy.
And that was the first Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor pairing, right?
Yeah. And frankly,
On
Richard
screen.
Pryor doesn't come in until 60 minutes into
Right.
the film.
Wow.
But it's very funny. Some of the it just hit me the right way. It was
Who's
great.
in that?
Great to
Jill
see it.
Clayburgh? Is that who's in
Jill
that?
Clayburgh was great. I fell in love with
And
him.
Who's the
Bang,
bad
too.
guy?
Patrick
McGowan
from Fugitive.
The prisoner.
The prisoner, that guy.
Mm.
and Scatman Crothers is in it.
Scatman Crothers is in there.
Oh, Scatman
A
Crothers.
lot of those other guys that you see all the time.
Ed Beatty.
Fred Willard has a little part in that, playing the control guy at the train station. So anyway, both great films. I highly recommend Bill and Ted Face the Music if you like those other two. And Silver
Yeah.
Streak is just great. And Gene Wilder was he played it straight. It was great. It wasn't, it wasn't waka waka waka. It was pretty good. And he played a romantic lead as well as a hero. It's great. Great. All right. Well, that leaves us 5 minutes to talk about Spinal Tap. So go, Brad. You're up.
Oh,
We all liked it.
Yeah. So Brad, this is our Spinal Tap take 3. We finally are doing this one.
I'm
So
feeling
Brad
better
brought Spinal
today.
Tap to the table. So why don't you give us a little description and
All right.
tell us why you brought it?
Well, this is one of my all-time favorite movies. I just love this movie. I've seen it so many times.
You look
But-
so funny in this
I
way.
know. Well, after I give my opening, I'm going to take the wig off.
What?
you're not committed,
And
Brad.
take the cucumber out of your pants too.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that stays. So this is about an aging rock band who is past their prime and currently residing in the "Where Are They Now" file. That is kind of, they've got a new album coming out, and it's a rockumentary, and Marty DeBurgi, Rob Reiner, is doing a rockumentary on the guys. So it's taking place on their tour around America that is in these smaller and terrible places, not terrible places, but just not a whole lot of fans, and everything is falling apart, and it's just great. It's just comedy gold, I think. But I don't know, just so many one-liners, so many, even the songs I love. The songs are just the best. Can't beat the songs.
Big bottoms.
Right. I mean,
I worked
honestly,
on a sex farm.
it's kind of like, we talked about this with Young Frankenstein. Is there anybody that doesn't like this film?
She didn't like it the first time she saw it.
Okay.
Well, that shocks me, Mojo.
More than 25 years ago, Brad said, you gotta watch this movie. And he put it on and I fell asleep. So
That happens a lot. Let's be honest. You say that for a lot of movies.
But did you know it was a mock?
Yeah,
Did you
that-
know it was fake when you first watched it? Did you know it was a fake? Okay,
I
you
knew it
did
was.
know.
Yeah, I knew it was fake. And then I tried to watch it again, and I fell asleep again. So I did eventually watch the movie, and once I watched it and really watched it, I liked it. But when I was like, because sometimes you're just in a weird place
When
and
you were
watch a
exhausted,
movie.
you probably thought it was just
Exactly.
stupid.
I was just like, oh my God, when's this going to be over? And then I fell asleep. But yeah, so the first 2 times I didn't like the movie, but then I actually saw the whole thing and liked it. I haven't watched Fletch though, so.
No,
Yeah,
missing out.
it's a classic. Fletch is a classic. Yeah, I mean, again, this is tough when everybody loves the film. There's no conflict, but there's so many quotes come out of this film. We did one at the beginning. Everybody does the 11 and the Hello Cleveland, and
This one goes to 11.
you guys were doing a ton of them on when we were messaging about the podcast. Sean, do you have a few quotes you'd like to throw out there?
Well, I just love the music. I mean, there's the movie is eminently quotable, but these guys could really play, and a lot of these songs really worked in the genre too. And
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
what I'm always thinking about is Big Bottoms, but the line it's like my baby fits me like a flesh tuxedo. I want to sink her with my pink torpedo.
Right.
I mean, I can't think of another song that rhyme tuxedo and torpedo. And I mean, this is above, love and above and arms and charms. I mean, this is really good stuff. And when I saw the music back in the day, I was not a giant fan of that genre of music.
Metal.
They could really play. They were really credible.
And they wrote their own songs.
Scoring.
Mhm.
And it was, I was learning to play the guitar around that time, and I certainly couldn't have played it. So I appreciate that they could play. What's his name? McKean was actually in the left bank, Walk Away Renee. that did that song. He did-
Oh,
I didn't know he was in that.
I didn't know that.
yeah. So he could already play. As he said, he couldn't play the guitar at the time then, but no. So they were very good. I used to listen to this soundtrack at work when I worked for the advertising agency, and I'm glad I don't do this now at some company, because I think playing these lyrics at a company would probably be considered actionable now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Harassment. It's sort of like smell the glove. It's like, what's wrong with being sexy?
Sexist.
Sexist. You say sexist or
And I
sexist?
love the manager at that point. Now, the guy who plays the manager, also used to do music for National Lampoon, and he did this funny spoof of
Sir Ian, is that what you're talking? Oh no, you're
no,
talking about-
the guy who was their manager.
Oh, the guy who was their manager. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he did this spoof for National Lampoon of John Lennon's Plastic Ono Band album that was so depressing, called Magical Misery Tour, where he does a John Lennon impersonation where everything in the world is just terrible. I remember that from back in the old days.
Well, did you read the IMDb about him? Did you read that he was going to kill himself the night before they started shooting,
Yeah,
and the shoot saved his life?
the guy who
I
played
know. Talk about.
Tony, I think it's Tony something. Drew, were you going to jump in and say something?
I just wanted to make sure that Sean to never say those lyrics out loud again.
Yeah, they are actionable
It
nowadays.
was, but I mean, just personally, I don't know if it was wonderful or horrible, but I felt a lot, and I needed it to not happen.
He's aggrieved. He's aggrieved.
Thank you.
What I when we were reading up on stuff beforehand online, this originally came about because Christopher Guest and Harry Shearer and Michael McKean and Rob Reiner were given $10,000 to write a script. Write whatever you want. So they did a 20-minute version of this. And I don't know exactly what parts, because they don't tell you what parts of that, but original parts of the original 20-minute thing that they shot ended up in the movie. And but it's what I found funny is so many rock stars who saw this loved it, because they said that's exactly what it's
real.
That is exactly what it's like. It is so bizarre, this life on the road. And Kiss swore, well, Gene Simmons always swears that everything's about Kiss. but they said that the scene where they couldn't find their way to the right floor, the below Cleveland scene, was based, they swore it was based on a Kiss story, because that actually happened to them.
Yeah.
They couldn't find their way.
The stage was on a different floor than they were on. And they were going up and down.
Yeah, I read that some rock stars didn't even want to watch it because it was so real.
They hated it because it was so
hold
close.
on. What are we doing? We haven't even shown the trailer yet.
What?
Oh my
God. What am I doing?
Oh my gosh,
Hello,
we gotta
Cleveland.
start
What's
over.
going on?
Can we
By
fix
the
that?
way,
Can we fix that in
I'm Ralph
post?
Patrucci.
no, we're landing right now.
Let's start
Should we-
over.
And I'm
we could-
Frank Quadrouche.
We could mention to subscribe here maybe while I'm setting up. Why don't you mention to subscribe, and we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, as always, we appreciate you guys subscribing, hitting the notification button, and please share it. And we seem to be building a little bit of an audience.
We're
So I
building.
guess looks like you guys are liking what we're doing. We want to do more, and it really does help expand our presence. So please do that.
Or they're just waiting to see what happens, to see the crash, to see when we all
It is.
melt
You know,
down.
when you drive by
Wait,
a
we've
car
already-
accident, you always stop and look. Always.
We've already hit rock bottom. I don't understand. We can't go any further.
Very delicate. It's a bit of a departure from the kind of thing you normally play. What do you call this?
Well, this piece is called Lick My Love Pump.
This is the loudest,
Rock and roll!
most explosive band in heavy metal history. This is Spinal Tap,
It's such a fine line between stupid and clever.
the funniest movie ever made about rock and roll.
He choked on vomit. Well, they can't prove whose vomit it was.
The monumental classic.
There was a Stone Age monument on the stage that was in danger of being crushed by a dwarf.
The makeup of your audience seems to be young boys.
Oh, it's a sexual thing, really.
We've got, armadillos in our trousers. I mean, it's really quite frightening.
No, don't touch
I was just pointing at it.
Well, don't point. I'm sure I'd feel much worse if I weren't under such heavy sedation.
The cult phenomenon.
The numbers all go 2,
11.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
This is Spinal Tap.
I hadn't seen that trailer. I'm used to the.
Yeah, that must be for a DVD collection or something. Now, this was not the first rock mockumentary about rock. Do you guys remember the Ruddles?
Yes, I was just watching the Ruddles last night.
Was
What
that
year was the Ruddles?
Just
a
telling
few
us
years?
about that.
I
Or
think
do
it
we
was
see it on
before
the
this,
podcast?
wasn't it?
Oh, put on the wig.
No,
I don't
someone
know.
was telling us about it.
Yeah, it was in the late. It was for Saturday Night Live originally.
Well, Eric Idle's in there. Was that not Monty Python, or was just Eric Idle part of that?
It was Eric Idle. George Harrison's in it.
Okay.
You know.
Anyway, so Rob Reiner, was this his first directorial
Yeah.
debut? Yeah. He was supposed to be in the band.
Yeah, he was.
But
I can't imagine. They said he didn't look good in spandex.
Well, this was based on a sketch that they did. Rob Reiner had some kind of midnight show, like a sketch show, and this was a sketch in that show.
Oh, wow.
That's
okay.
what led to the $10,000 to do the movie.
Okay.
That's how it originated.
Mm-hmm.
So he was part of the band then.
Yeah, and you think about all the people that are in the film, all the cameos.
Oh, tons of cameos.
Oh,
Yeah.
we missed. Every time we watch this movie, we forget who Angelica Houston played until we went back because you just miss it.
I couldn't believe that was her. Ralph told me that was her, and I even said to Rose, I go, gee, that looks like Angelica Houston, but that's not her. I'm like, and then Ralph said that was her. I go, are you sure about that? And I looked it up. I go, wow.
And Dana Carvey.
Houston in the movie.
Dana Carvey, Billy
He
Crystal.
plays the woman who makes the 18-inch stone.
Yes.
Yeah.
She made it based on the napkin.
Right.
18 inches.
This is what I was given.
And Dana Carvey's in there playing the mime.
You know he doesn't get a credit?
No, my favorite line in the whole movie
Who doesn't get a
from
credit?
Dana Carvey.
He didn't?
Well, that was his pre-SNL days.
That was pre-SNL.
Oh, that's way early.
Yeah.
Billy
That was
Crystal.
probably-
My favorite line is from Billy Crystal when he says, "Mime is money."
Mime is money.
Yeah.
Mime is money. Mime is money.
And Fran Drescher and
My favorite is Fred Willard, because I later ended up working with Fred Willard. Ring the bell.
oh God! Wait a minute. Camera 3.
Michelle interviewed Fred Willard.
I interviewed him.
You can see all my
Oh,
clothes.
wow.
Here's the ring it again.
What? Another ring?
Yes.
But here's the thing about Fred Willard. I've done a lot of movies, but he's the only actor I've ever done this. So he was a typical big name actor you get in a movie. You film him you're like 5 scenes in one day, and then scatter them throughout the movie to actually appear like he appeared in it, like he was in there for the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So the big day he arrived on the set, and I went to Los Angeles because I wanted to meet him. I said, when are we shooting the big stars? And I went out for those days. And so, it was like no nonsense when he arrived because he was the highest paid actor in the movie. And so we bring him on, and, it's like the walkie-talkies. Mr. Willard's here. Mr. Willard's walking down the hallway. Mr. Willard's in makeup, this. And finally he comes out of makeup into the set of the first scene. And he still has the, the paper around your collar and everything. And before they can start, he just looks around and goes, "Are the writers here? Are the writers here?" And me and my partner were like in the next room sitting on some stairs where we could see what was going on. And we're like, oh my God, what's going to go on? So we go, yeah, we're here. And we walk in, and he goes, "I just wanted to thank you. I think this is a great script."
Wow.
He goes, "It's very funny." And they're like, "Oh, great." And the thing is, his role was funny. I don't think
Sean, what movie was Fred Willard the highest paid actor in the film?
Holy Man Undercover.
Okay.
We also had Clint Howard, who was hilarious.
Does he get a ring? I guess he does.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. He's funny. He is.
John Schneider, who was also very funny too, from Dukes of Hazzard.
Yep.
And Edie McClurg was in it. He plays.
Oh God! How many? Come on.
Ferris
Pencil
Bueller.
in the hair from Ferris Bueller.
There are pictures of you
and Howard's wife.
There are pictures of you with Fred Willard on the website, right?
Yes, there are pictures.
A couple of those. Anybody wants to see those? Yippee-Ki-Yay motherfucker.
No, but I tell you, of all the times, he's the only actor who ever called out the writers on the set to say he liked the script.
That's nice.
And what a great guy, and very kind of a gentle soul. We were both actually hoping that he would ad lib, because he's famous as an ad libber, but he basically played it very straight. He also did a little funny behind the scenes for us, talking about the movie and all. But it was one of my best moments on any of the sets I've been on, and to hear him saying it was funny from someone like Fred Willard was indeed praise from Caesar, as we would say. So he's a great guy, and I know you had a chance to run across him as well, Wojo.
Yeah, I interviewed him. He was very kind, and his wife was alive at the time, and he told me that he and his wife would still invite people over to do skits and to do improv and to do, like, once a week. They tried to have people over, just all different groups of people, because they were really still into the creation of stuff. And I thought that was really cool. It was really
this movie must have been 90% improv, right?
A lot of it was improv.
It wasn't a script.
Which is hilarious.
So they spent 2 months developing backstories for everybody. So like when he interviews them, that first scene when they're in front of the mansion and they're all sitting there, they had no idea what questions he was going to ask. Because you can see during the movie, sometimes somebody says something and someone else reacts to it, like almost like laughing, because they didn't know it was coming, but they knew their own backstory. So whatever they got asked, they could answer. I thought that was the most amazing thing about the movie to me.
That's smart.
It was all improv, and it was, again, you could tell, even that lick my love pump, that wasn't in the script. The way he paused right before he said it, it was just perfect. It was just perfect.
I would love to see outtakes on that. Could you imagine? Yeah. They had to be falling over when he plays this classical, beautiful piece. And he's like, wow, that's great. What's that called? And he's like, oh, that's Lick My Love Pump.
Part of a musical trilogy I'm doing in D.
It's lovely. It's really lovely.
It's amazing. I mean, and when I rewatched it, I didn't realize how many times. First of all the drummers that blow up. There's that one right there.
They had 32 drummers.
And the keyboardist, who they showed a lot. That keyboardist is in a lot of the movie, but like, who's that guy?
That was my one of the drummers choked on his own vomit. That was the line. The police were there, but you can't dust for vomit. That's a great line.
It wasn't his vomit.
And I like the one, the police thought this was a crime better left unsolved.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, the comedy aside, what really makes this film work is that you, and this is true of most of the Christopher Guest films, is that you really care about the characters after a while.
I love all those Christopher Guest. Well, and it had these guys in it. Waiting for Guffman.
Right.
Best in
The Mighty Wind, Best in Show.
Well, we just listened to a podcast with
Michael
McKean, and it was fascinating because he knew Christopher Guest in high school, and they came up with the characters prior to filming Spinal Tap. So this is something, their ideas were pre-formed way back when, and it is funny to see how, reminiscent of the English invasion was, and how everybody was like, my sister-in-law, she had to go to England and get a English husband. It was like very posh to do something like that, and then to see, they really carried. I had not seen this film until we watched it.
Oh,
I saw bits and pieces of it, like you, Wojo, and like you, I would fall asleep or think, "Oh yeah, I get the joke. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny." But then, I want to, after like a while, I wanted now to see something else because that was, seeming to me that's what was going to be played through the whole, 60 minutes or whatever, how long that movie was. But to really sit down and watch it, to appreciate it, and to get what was going on at the time, the sexual similarities between, got androgyny, and that is like the beginning, and you see their faces, and they're going,
that glitter.
All the glitter, and how the girlfriend looks just like Christopher Guest's, it's just like they were competing. It was like the Yoko Ono, John Lennon sort of,
who dressed like an Australian's nightmare.
And they all would like give each other these looks of what's going on here. She's not really looking like you, like himself. And I thought it was very, very interesting to see the beginning of all the, the androgyny, falling in love with yourself, but, maybe being gay.
This is Debbie's first mustache, too.
I don't know what that means.
The bass player, the girl was giggling, and he turns to the other people and goes, "This is her first mustache."
I don't get it.
Were they in a lawsuit to get money from this movie? Am I reading that wrong, or was that the other?
Yeah,
Harry Shearer.
They're trying to get, they didn't get as much money as they should have because the producers, but Harry Shearer said this happens every movie that you ever go into. It's not like they were just stupid.
No, it's funny. I was watching a podcast with Bill Burr and MacGruber. Who stars in MacGruber? What's
Will
his name?
Forte.
Will Forte. And he's talking about the movie, and he goes, I made $12,000 for this movie. And it sounded like he wasn't joking. Yeah. It didn't sound like a joke. He was like, I put all my money in, and what I got out of it was $12,000.
He's having the last laugh because they're making a series.
That's a great film.
Yeah.
That's another classic.
That's a stupid movie.
I know, it's very stupid.
That's what I like about it.
Everybody's wig. What is this?
The wigs are all disappearing.
You know what? These guys are so
It got too hot. I can't deal with it.
Did Roger Ebert review this one?
Oh, funny you asked. Oh. Okay, I just happen to have the review here. I'm not going to start at the beginning.
Please don't.
He recounts a story, one of the scenes. But I'll just go to when he starts to sum it up. This is Spinal Tap, one of the funniest movies ever made. Is about a lot of things, but one of them is the way the real story is not in the questions or the answers, but at the edge of the frame. There are two stories told in the film. The story of what a rock band, Spinal Tap, thinks, hopes, and believes and fears is happening, and the story of what is actually happening. The reason we feel such affection for its members is because they are so touching in their innocence and optimism. Intoxicated by the sheer fun of being rock stars, they perform long after their sell-by date to smaller and smaller audiences for less and less money, still seeking the roar of the crowd. Which I think is a very good way of looking at this.
Yeah, their obliviousness to their failures was what was charming, right? Everywhere they went, they were told, at the party where Fran Drescher's first
show might have been billed higher than them, but they did have a bigger dressing room than the puppets.
Yeah. But everybody that met them, even Fran Drescher was all into it, and then she figures out pretty quickly that these guys are, fun. Drew, anything? I can't wait to hear your take.
I like this movie more than Young Frankenstein. Let me lay it out. This is one of those movies.
I win.
You haven't heard it yet. In middle school, we started watching these comedies, and so some people were watching movies that I think are funny, like Caddyshack and Animal House, and some people, like me and my friends, we were watching This is Spinal Tap, and we were watching Monty Python. Mm-hmm. So what that means is that I've watched all of those things 1,000 times, and I think they're really funny. And so I don't think This is Spinal Tap is as funny now because I've seen all the jokes 100 times. That doesn't mean it's not funny. It doesn't mean it shouldn't be in the Criterion Collection. It doesn't mean that if you see it for the first time that a lot of people won't really enjoy it. But what I realized as I was thinking about it, it wasn't the first mockumentary. We talked about the Ruddles and some of that stuff. And, the War of the Worlds that Orson Welles did on the radio, people believed the aliens were coming, all that kind of stuff. But I realized it did it created this genre of movies, these fake documentaries, seriously or for comedy, that I actually love. So many of them. And that there are whole like The Office doesn't exist without Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
And there are movies that I want people to see. There's another movie, it's also in the Criterion Collection, called Man Bites Dog. It's a very, very dark comedy from Belgium.
That's a serial killer where they follow a serial killer?
Right, basically a couple of guys with a camera and a microphone follow a serial killer around as he kills people, and it is really and it is really funny, and it is really crazy. And the joke there is that the sound guy keeps getting killed instead of the drummer. But they even do things that are very clever, like there's a scene, because you're basically watching a guy commit crimes and then try to get away with it. So like the sound guy and the camera guy get separated, so you're watching something, but the audio is from some other place, and it's just very clever. And I realized that, like, I love that movie. I love Forgotten Silver. I don't know if you guys know that one. That was a Peter Jackson movie about a lost New Zealand director that nobody had ever heard of. And the reason that nobody had ever heard of him was because Peter Jackson made him up. And that was in the, I think, 95, 96, before Lord of the Rings and stuff. And then also you have, all these movies that, like horror movies, like Wreck, and all these different things that are they don't exist without This Is Spinal Tap. And I'm just going to promote this movie because I don't even know how to watch it at this point. It's a really sad story. There was this guy named Russ Hexter, and in 1996 he made his first movie. It's called Dadetown, and it's about a town in rural New York that's like a manufacturing town, and this computer company moves in and starts to change the town and what's going to happen. And here's the city, sophisticated people and the country people, and it's quite moving, and it's frankly still relevant today. And then at the end, the credits roll. It's not real. It's they're not like doing it to mess with you. They're doing it because that's how real it is. And that's the kind of thing where none of it's improv. It feels natural. It feels real. And I'm sure there are plenty of comedy screenwriters who get tired of being asked in interviews, well, how much of this was improv? And they're like, I actually sat and wrote this. It worked really hard to write the jokes, all that kind of stuff. And Dadetown, the guy, Russ Hexter, he died right around the same time that Jonathan Larson died, behind Rent. And Rent became, of course, this humongous phenomenon, and Dadetown disappeared. I don't even think it's available on video. I saw it at a screening in Philadelphia before it came out. I don't even know if it came out. But I realized, thinking about that movie, like, I remember that movie because the format says this is real. And even though it's a movie, you believe that it's real. And so that's why, for me, This Is Spinal Tap worked, because the people are ridiculous. And then you see the reactions of the real musicians. Like, I think I saw a clip, Slash said, yeah, I watched that movie, and it kind of messed me up, and I had a really bad show that night because it was so real, and it really bothered me, and that kind of stuff. And this is the part that you guys aren't going to like. I don't really like the other Christopher Guest movies. I don't think they're bad. I think that they're the same joke over and over and over again, and my laugh is always, huh. But it's not but it's the same joke over and over. And the people in it are so good, and the cast is so good, and I just feel like I saw this already. I don't want to see it again. But This Is Spinal Tap. I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth watching. And the last thing I'll say about this, as far as the genre, one of my favorite fake documentary movies, which is the reason it's so good, is because instead of the actors essentially ambushing each other with improvised based on what I give you in this scene, they actually ambushed real people. And that's the Borat movie, which of course he can't make anymore because he's Borat. And the reason that I love that movie is not only because it's filthy and hysterical, but I also thought it had some interesting things to say about anti-Semitism. So I took my 14-year-old middle school students, Hebrew school students, to see it with their parents' permission. And that mortifies my wife to this day. But I think it's just such a powerful format. And if somebody says, I'm going to make an action movie, I'm going to make a horror movie, that means a lot of things. But if you say, I'm going to make a mockumentary, seriously or comedy, that gives you certain expectations that I'm already like, I'm interested, because it feels so real. Mm-hmm. So this is way better than Young Frankenstein, in case you were
okay. Well, that you don't have to go there, but and this is the OG. I mean, this is the one that's looked back as the OG of mockumentaries, even though there were some others that were out before this. And it made all these guys like Rob Reiner. My favorite scene is that scene he does right at the beginning where he explains he's giving the explanation of the movie we're about to see. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was a brilliant scene. Mm-hmm. John, anything?
I mean, Borat, the problem I have with him is when he does real people, he can be cruel. And I don't like that. I don't want to see real people getting, treated that way. That's why I like this. They were very, the way they portrayed themselves pathetic's not the right word, but it kind of was a little pathetic, but they came to the realization that they were a little pathetic. And then at the end, their saving grace was they're a big hit in Japan. I really
With number 5 on the charts.
Yeah, exactly. And they had redemption. And that scene where Christopher Guest is off the side and Michael McKean calls him on. I mean, that was, you know, even though I know it's fake, it really came like real people. And that's what I love about the Christopher Guest movies. First of all, they're all playing someone completely different in each film, like completely different characters, right? Mm-hmm. It's not as improvised as this is, but Christopher Guest movie, they develop a background story and all the improvisation is based on what they already know about their characters. I absolutely love that because I think you got to be brilliant and fast to do that. And that cast that they put in there is always brilliant. But this is what got that started. And Drew, you're right. The Office wouldn't exist without this.
Yeah.
Parks and Recreation wouldn't exist without this. Mm-hmm. And the fact is they never winked at the camera either, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't. They were real characters, funny, over the top, but they didn't take this, the mockumentary, as a joke. They took this as a very serious thing, even though it was funny. And it's not hilariously funny, but there was, like, you know, even the line when Boston gets canceled and he says, well, Boston isn't a college town anymore. I mean, just throwaway lines like that are just so funny. And the way they play it, I love this movie because of that. I mean, I'm not a metal guy, so the music, I laughed at. In fact, the scene that I laughed the most at, I just think is hilarious, is when Harry Shearer can't get out of that heart thing.
Oh, yeah. The bod.
The whole song.
And then it opens and everyone else is closed. Right. And
then he's got his arm stuck in there at the end. Well, I just thought that was freaking hilarious. So I hadn't seen this movie in a long time, but the commentary that I watched is the 3 Spinal Tap guys in character the entire time. So they never break character, and Rob Reiner isn't in it. That was hilarious.
That's funny.
Because they're picking up stuff that I'm not even looking at behind the scenes, you know, way in the background. That was really funny. So again, from an improv standpoint, I love all the Christopher Guest movies. Not all of them. But this is the one for me that got it all rolling.
And this also led to one of the best seasons of Saturday Night Live when Billy Crystal, Christopher Guest, and Harry Shearer all on together.
Some
of the stuff they came up with was just brilliant.
When Billy Crystal and Christopher Guest had those 2 characters. Did you ever, you know,
stick a nail up your nose?
Hammer? And it would be
I hate when that happens. I hate when that happens.
But my
box of thumbtacks
on the floor and then walk all over him. Oh, that's smart. But my favorite one was he said, "Did you ever take?" And he'd go, "A 6-inch copy of the Statue of Liberty?" Yeah. Where the hell did that come from?
But you got to be so, like Robin Williams, you know, it's like you got to be so fast and so quick.
Well, those guys are all from an improv background.
Well, yeah, absolutely,
guys and all that. Yeah.
But Brad, there's a lot of people from.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and this wouldn't have worked if they were not good musicians either. They all played stuff. They all wrote the songs. Yeah. It was all based in reality, and that's the whole thing with improv. I think is you base it in reality and just riff off that, right? Tell me, actors out there. I have no idea, but
yes, Ralph, you are correct.
Thank you very much. Wow.
Wait, I don't get a bell for that. I thought we talked about that.
All right, geez.
Camera 2.
Bell to you.
Here's a little fun fact.
Kick me in the ass. Kick me in the ass.
Oh, he was What was his name? Pluffin or Pluff?
Artie Fufkin.
Fufkin. Yeah, he was great. Yeah, all of them. Billy, I'm telling you that there's all those cameos that come through there that just and Angelica Houston, who you know I have a little thing for too.
Yeah.
But
Bruno Kirby.
Bruno.
Put up the window.
Yeah.
Great. So a lot of great stuff. Yeah. I mean, what are you gonna say? Like,
well, here's a fun fact. What's the name of the guy, the Dire Straits guy?
Mark Knopfler.
Yes. Okay. So, Rob Reiner, and I had read this when we did The Princess Bride. Rob Reiner wanted him to do the music, the score for The Princess Bride, and he said the only way I'll do it is if you have that hat that you wore in Spinal Tap somewhere in the movie, and it wasn't the exact hat. But they put it in Fred Savage's bedroom in Princess Bride. And afterward, when he was told about it, Knopfler was like, I was just joking around. I really was going to do it anyway, but
I don't know. Was it a hit
like
when
to
it came?
watch little things like that in movies, you know.
Was Spinal Tap a hit when it came out? I don't remember. When did it come out?
84, I
think. 84.
Yeah, I don't.
No, I didn't actually see it that early.
I don't think it was a big hit.
No.
Well, here's the thing.
I
I
watched it
saw
over
it
and
at
over
the
in college.
Charles. In
You saw it
Baltimore,
where?
I saw it at the Charles, which is sort of like the art house. You know, I didn't see it at the Golden Ring or the Timonium.
Yeah, I don't remember it being in a big theater.
Yeah.
Ralph, did you see it in the theater?
I don't remember, honestly.
I saw it in the theater.
But it's one of those movies. It's like Monty Python, like Drew was saying. You know, people who watch that and obsess with it and repeat it over and over and over. This is one of those movies that when it came out, all those lines, "Hello, Cleveland," 11. The 11 is still everybody.
Well, that 11 is in our is a zeitgeist.
Yeah,
right?
it's everybody's using
11.
that. Yeah,
Like the T-shirt.
Yeah.
This thing goes to 11.
That's got to be a great feeling to know that you know is your leg. That's a legacy. That's an amazing thing.
Yeah, but they even
to have
said
happen.
we had no idea when we were making it that it would be. Everybody says that, I suppose.
Of course.
But they had no idea it would be this long. I mean, they still tour. In fact, they did a reunion show in L.A. and it was after the Mighty Wind. So they played the Folksmen. If you've seen that movie,
I saw
they played
this.
the Folksmen, and the Folksmen opened for Spinal Tap.
Yeah,
and they got
And
booed
people
off
were
the
mad.
stage.
Oh
The
God.
People didn't
audience-
realize they were the same guys.
That's right. They didn't know it was them and hated what the hell are these guys playing folk music for at a heavy metal thing? And they were laughing about it.
Oh, they must
thought
have
it was
loved
the
that.
funniest-
That had to have been the
yeah.
best. Oh yeah.
Now, you all who like the Christopher Guest movies, did you like A Mighty Wind?
I love the Mighty Wind
See,
Yes.
we didn't like that one as much.
because I
Maybe
love
we
the
have to
music.
watch it
in
again.
I think the music is great.
I'm a little with Drew on this one. Those all have the same feel. I mean, I love the one about the dog show. That one.
But
Best
they're
in
nothing
Show.
like-
show.
I know they're not. I know
They're
they're
all
not. But
improv,
you know
but-
exactly what you're getting into. You know. Okay, it's like
Well,
watching.
yeah, unlike
it's
the
like,
Die Hard.
it's like
It's
going
so
to
improv.
improv.
Humor, obviously. Yeah.
It's like going to an improv show every other week. You're going to
Yeah,
see
it's
the
like
same
Bill and
people.
Ted. I mean, every movie's so completely different. You don't know what you're getting from it.
I don't know.
Well-
that seems a little. I can't have it. I can't not like. What? You got to attack my stuff because
I'm not
because-
attacking it.
a little
but
bit.
you
I
know
felt a
what
little
you're getting.
aggrieved.
You
I felt a
know-
little attacked there.
It's like watching
We've only
Saturday
seen
Night Live.
those other
You know
ones
what
once
the
or twice.
sketch-
Not gonna attack
I
you,
like
Ralph.
them to me.
Okay,
I'd have to go watch them again.
Ralph, I apologize. I'm sorry if I came across as attacking you. I certainly didn't mean it
Wow.
because I think you do a fantastic job and you
that's
don't
worse.
deserve the
What
oh
you're
my
doing now is
God.
worse.
You did this on that Q Brothers thing. And he was like, this is
That's a different persona.
worse. This is
Can I
horrible.
say something? Can I say something seriously about comedy?
You're going to say something
okay,
serious
that's
about
ironic, but
comedy?
go ahead.
Comedy.
Sorry.
I'll
I'm
tell
serious
you
about comedy.
Comedy. Comedy hurts. It's not. It's funny. Is from the hurt of a person. And when you look at the great comics, Charlie Chaplin, you know these guys that do the old slapstick, you know, fall down and hurt yourself. It's basically hurtful things, and pretty much Christopher Guest and the like of that, even Borat, are grouped up into a bunch of people that show their stupidity. And that's kind of funny to people. You know, when you think about it,
Yeah.
I always think stupid people are very funny.
That's why she married me.
Well, no.
I don't think we can get a better quote for the end of the show.
Wow.
Wait a minute. Are you saying the comedians are stupid or the people they're dealing with are stupid?
No.
No.
Those people
The
are playing.
comedians are so smart
Oh,
that they devise like Jerry Lewis, you know?
look
It's
at the Three
self-deprecating.
Stooges. I mean, those guys are brilliant, but
yes,
they're playing, right.
it's hurtful things that happen to a person, and that's how we get through life. You know, that's how we can get through life is to laugh at ourselves when we make stupid decisions or stupid choices or whatever. And that the funnier the better. The more hurt you go through in your life, the funnier you're going to laugh.
Oh,
Boy, I must be
I'm going to say
hilarious.
one thing too. If about Christopher Guest films, I love the dog show,
Oh my
Best
God.
in Show.
Best
in
Show.
I think that was the best comedy of that decade.
Yeah.
Basically, I think the shows are funnier. I'm not fond of all of them equally because it depends how cruel they are to the lead characters. You know, it's like if they're cruel to them, then it's not as funny. Like the last one about the actors,
Yeah.
I didn't think they
for your
deserved the
consideration.
Waiting for Guffman.
No, for your consideration,
for your
right?
consideration.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we didn't see
I
that.
didn't think they deserved the scorn they were getting. You know, now the dog show one was special to me because I was cutting dog agility shows for Animal Planet.
Because of course you were.
Because it's like literally every person, every character in there was like based on someone I was working with.
Well, that was Fred Willard. That was Fred Willard's best role. Was that one?
Oh my God!
He was hilarious.
Yeah, he was good in there.
He was hilarious in that.
I learned a little bit of trivia that I don't know why I didn't know this. Maybe you guys already know this, but one of the ways I keep track of all the movies that I've watched is to rate them on IMDb, and then I can forget that I watched them. I have to remember. I can go look and say, "Oh, I did see that 2017." But this is.
I keep a nerd journal for the books I read because I can't.
Yeah, you can't remember anything. Yeah,
so many of them.
This is Spinal Tap is the only movie on IMDb that is rated on a scale of 1 to 11.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Really, I mean, that's
Funny. I didn't know that till I went on.
Yeah, I just learned that. I also want to say one other thing.
The new
Wait. Drew wants to say something.
Go ahead.
I want to say one other thing. I watched this when I was a kid, and so when I thought of movies, a movie is Star Wars, is Raiders of the Lost Ark, is a Disney cartoon, that kind of stuff. So this was a different thing, and it actually was kind of a gateway drug to documentaries for me also, because that's just a different way to watch a movie. And what I thought was kind of neat is that I've then therefore spent decades loving documentaries, watching different documentaries, and one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. They've had 3 seasons so far. Is Documentary Now, which is by Seth Meyers and Bill Hader and Fred Armisen.
God, yeah.
It's a fake documentary show hosted by Helen Mirren, who plays herself. And every episode is a fake documentary that's based on a real documentary. So if you have a documentary, it's a funny show. But if you have seen the documentary, these guys clearly love these documentaries. And they're just very famous, like Grey Gardens, all this different kind of stuff. And it is an absolute riot, like really hysterical. And again, it doesn't exist without movies like Spinal Tap.
Right. Even Android 11
goes to 11.
Goes to 11. So that's what I mean. It's everywhere.
Look at that, right?
Right? It's crazy. So,
all
right. How are we going to rate this?
More than 10.
Brad has one thing
I
to
just
say.
want to say one other thing.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Brad,
So
it's your movie.
So
What?
you were all saying, "Well, I wasn't into that music in the 80s." I happened to be into a lot of the heavy metal and like the hair band stuff back then.
Big time into the hair bands.
But that's one of the reasons I love this movie so much, because I saw, even though I love that music, I saw the absurdity of it, and guys just thought they were everything. I mean, I thought the guys were kind of absurd in those bands, but I just got into the music. I like the sound of the music. But I don't know. That was just one of the things that really struck me about that movie at the beginning and how absurd it was. Like, he was having the scene where he's arguing about the food. He's like, I've been sitting here for an hour trying to figure out how to put this.
Doesn't work.
It's on the bread.
Fold it.
Isn't going to work.
Well,
and I can see that kind of absurdity happening because those guys were not always the brightest, but they were just.
Well, the charm is they're oblivious to their own. But yes,
Exactly.
That was great.
Exactly.
I mean.
And that was supposed to be a takeoff on Van Halen was the first one to come out with, they had in their contract, no brown M&Ms.
Right.
I'm sure you looked up probably all kinds of crazy riders and people stuff.
But and the reason that some of them have, I mean, some of them are just crazy. Okay. I've read about certain singers and what they have, and it's just nuts. But sometimes they put weird stuff in there to make sure that the event people have actually read the contract. Because
not because they're divas. Yeah.
They want to feel special.
That's right. So I was doing a training for a company, and they said, "What are your requirements for the meeting?" So I said, "I need a projector. I need this. I need that. I also need a bowl of red M&Ms, not any other color but red." Thinking that, I was making a joke. Everything. I show up to the meeting. There's a projector. There's a bowl of red M&Ms that I found out cost them $45 just so they could get red ones.
Oh my God! And they must have thought you were such a dick.
Well, he said to me, he says to me when it was over, and
this guy must be good.
He goes, "I got to tell you something. After the meeting, now that I know what you're like, I can tell you this. But when you sent that list of requirements, I kind of thought you're kind of a diva because I didn't know you." I said, "Well, first of all, I was only kidding about the red M&Ms. I never thought you'd do it."
Well, let me tell one story from days of advertising past. We did a commercial with Dennis Rodman at the peak of his powers, And in order to get him to Baltimore to do it, we had to like charter a helicopter. I was actually not at the agency at the time, but I was working on the project.
Wow.
I had to charter a helicopter to pick him up in one city and drop him off at an airport, and he flew in. And I'm like, wow, that's really amazing. And the producer goes, Pam Portner goes, yeah, but how sad is it going to be to him one day when people don't send helicopters for him anymore?
Yeah.
Because that day will come, you know?
Probably already there.
I was going to say.
You don't see any more red M&Ms, do you, Jack?
No, never again. Now everyone thinks I'm a diva. You know what I'm going to do?
It has nothing to do with the red M&Ms.
Oh, but let me tell you that story. We did a spot with Evel Knievel, you know,
Oh, yeah.
He's great.
And one of his riders was, when he got to the airport, he wanted to have a police motorcycle escort take him into the city. So the producer's like, you know, calls the police department and says, hey, we have a celebrity coming in. We were wondering if you could send a police escort down to, you know, to pick him up and drive him into the city and ride around his vehicle. And they're like, who do you think we are? We don't do that kind of stuff. And they're like lambasting her, and they say, and who is this guy anyway? And she goes, it's Evel Knievel. And they're like, okay, we'll be there.
This had to have been the late 70s, right?
No, this was the 80s. This
really? Because he went a little
right,
nuts.
92.
70s and the 80s, right?
He was really into Evel Knievel back in the day. We were jumping all over everything. Okay, we got to rate this. We've gone on way longer than I expected. See, lovable movie. I knew it. Okay, we'll start with Drew. Drew, Yippee-Ki-Yay, Yippee-Ki-Nay.
Yippee-Ki-Yay. It's a funny movie.
Nice. Wojo, Brad.
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Sean, Debbie.
Big thumb.
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Jack.
Yippee-Ki 11.
I say Yippee-Ki-Yay. Great film. All right, great film. Good job, Brad. Love it. I don't know if you guys noticed the
Good call.
Black Album back here. It's not an album, it's a laser
It's
disc.
not black. Their album was all black.
That was all black. I know, but they had to put that on. Otherwise,
you could see a face in it.
Okay. So next week, Jack is bringing the movie next week, and we've been waiting the whole podcast.
Okay,
to see
so
what
here's
film
the
he's gonna
deal.
bring. Here we go.
So Ralph and I were talking about movies on our brother podcast, and I brought up Singing in the Rain. And I was like, should we do that one? I'm not really sure. Well, my niece, who I think's about 25, she watched it and she texted me and she says, if you guys do Singing in the Rain, I want to be on it because I absolutely love this movie. So I am picking Singing in the Rain.
All right. So
everyone will watch, and I'm going to bring my niece on next week because she's at that age, someone who loves this movie. I want her to tell me why. And I adore this movie.
She can be the guest.
niece?
25.
She's 25. I think she's 25.
Great. So I'll let her be the guest director because
What's the movie called? Because I've never seen that. Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain with an umbrella.
Only considered the single greatest Hollywood musical of all time.
Brad and I have never seen it.
Yeah, I wish
wait.
You're
Can't wait for you to see it.
I've not heard of it.
What?
I want to say one other thing.
Wait,
God,
I forgot.
did you see the people freak out?
I forgot. I saw Hamilton this week too.
Oh, you saw Hamilton?
I can't wait.
Holy cow!
No Singing in the Rain.
We're going to do that next week, right? I don't have to think about that till next Monday.
Hamilton does have less rain. You're right about that.
Hamilton, I saw on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Jonathan Goff playing King George in Hamilton is
that guy was great.
Mind blowing. That's all I want to say. Before
we
we
don't get Disney Plus.
Oh my God! Look it up on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
What I think is so great about that Hamilton is I've seen the show. I feel very lucky to have seen the show, and I figure what's more boring than watching a video of a musical because you're not in the room, all that kind of stuff. It was so spectacularally well produced, edited. I guess they recorded 2 different live performances, and
so
then
they could get close-ups.
Performance without the audience, so that they could. And
you see that it together.
Oh my God! Yeah,
the level of acting that these people do is just an extraordinary show.
And the circular. I don't know if on stage they had when you saw it on stage they have this circular turntable that's in the middle. That on television, some of the stuff they could do just added some depth that you wouldn't get if you're in the theater. And Jonathan Goff is spitting
Yeah.
when he's doing his stuff. It's just the most phenomenal. And I love that guy he's Mindhunter. I haven't seen him. I know he's in Frozen. He does big Broadway guy. Blew me away. I just couldn't get over his performance in this thing. That's all I
hope you feel the same way about Gene Kelly.
I'll let you know next week.
Have you ever seen it?
I don't think I have. That's all about backstage,
John, you've
right?
seen
Is that
it, right?
Debbie?
I think it's my favorite movie, maybe.
Debbie Reynolds is in there. Is that Debbie Reynolds?
Debbie Reynolds, Donald O'Connor,
and it's all backstage stuff, right?
Gene
Backstage.
Hagen, who is incredible in it.
Wait. There's 2 Genes? How am I going to keep track?
It's going to be fun.
Have you seen it, Drew?
No, I've never seen it.
Honestly. Oh, wow.
Really?
Now I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to it. I've never seen that. I've never seen It's a Wonderful Life, but that's up in Jewish Baltimore.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised you've never seen it because you've seen everything.
I know.
Now,
right?
they did do Singing in the
never heard.
Rain. They do a musical version of Singing in the Rain and Clockwork Orange, though.
I have seen that.
Gene Kelly was not happy about that.
That's not good.
Gene Kelly was not happy
That's
about
pretty
that.
brutal. Right. But all right. Well, next week, Singing in the Rain. Be a happy week, I guess, huh? Woo! And Julia's going to be
feel
on.
good movie. You guys are going to be smiling when
And you'll arrange, John, you'll arrange getting Julia on?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Everybody else?
And I think it was even on, I think the movie's on YouTube if you want to watch it on YouTube. I seem to remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah, full version of it on YouTube.
Oh,
Colorized or is it black and white?
But I would get, if you have the
Those
DVD,
cable
you want to
channels
see
a while
it.
back. I think it's sitting on my DVR.
Fabulous Technicolor.
I do have the DVD. So I look
Is it in color?
Oh,
Yes.
yes, it's in color, Al.
Thank
But
goodness.
Soderbergh did a black and white version.
Well, I may turn the color off.
When
then.
was
I'm
it
watching black
released?
and
It
white.
was in the 50s, right?
I think it was 56.
Okay.
I think it was 56.
Yeah.
Debbie and Sean, congrats on negative tests.
Yeah, so happy.
Very good.
Made it
We're glad
through.
you're feeling good.
We're glad to be alive. And
Made it
not
through the
dead.
Rona. Good
Made
for
it
you.
through the Rona.
Good for you.
Corona.
Everybody else have a great week.
Okay.
All right, guys.
We'll see you next week for Singing in the Rain.
Ralph, great job tonight. Seriously, great job.
I don't like that. Stop doing that.
Everybody, great job.
Bye, guys.
See ya. Bye.